not it's not providing a lot of jobs, because that makes it just more expensive. And we have to do it anyway, this greening, if it creates jobs or not. But that's just one remark. What I wanted to say today is that on this very important topic, in politics in general, you need vision and you need courage. If you have those two, I believe you're a perfect politician. The vision, we have it. It's in this document. It's provided by the European Commission in its roadmaps towards 2050. We had this wonderful vision in the Lisbon strategy. So the vision is there, it's available. The only thing that's lacking is courage. Courage to take the decisions that we need to take to make the vision not just something on paper, but reality. And that is where we have a huge problem. We've seen the problem with the Lisbon strategy, where all member states agreed with the vision, but no member state was able to act accordingly. And that was just a matter of courage. So we don't have the courage to stop economically harmful subsidies. We don't have the courage to say to the coal mines, I'm terribly sorry, but we're phasing out the subsidies rapidly because we don't want any coal in the future. We don't have the courage to tell our fishermen that they have to fish less instead of continuing emptying the seas in the way they're doing now. And we don't have the courage to tell our farmers that it's not even in their own interest to be dependent on subsidies for the rest of their lives. So lack of courage means lack of choices, and lack of choices means the status quo. And status quo is not going forward, but going backwards. And to be honest, the lack of courage is also the problem for our new multi-financial framework. I'm a member of this wonderful sewer committee, and we have a draft report. Tomorrow morning we are discussing for the first time the amendments that are tabled. But at the moment we'll end up with a non-paper, where we make no choices as Parliament, so we have no clear signal towards the Council. The Council that already believes that we shouldn't be on the negotiating table as Parliament, but if we have no position, they're absolutely right to say you shouldn't be at our table. So without any Parliament's position, they're absolutely right in saying we'll do the work and you agree in the end. And I'm at the moment not very optimistic that we are going to change our own way of working. Because what's happening on the agricultural policy, we have the people flown in from the agricultural committee who try to convince all the others that the budgets should stay the same or be higher in the next period. And if we discuss cohesion policy, you see the same. And that's in every field. If we follow the draft report, we have to triple our annual budget, and that's not going to be the case. And so what we are doing is not only we're making this Parliament irrelevant on the multi-financial framework, but if we end up like this, we make the European budget irrelevant, because we continue spending the money on the wrong things. We're spending the money on the issues that were important in the previous century and not in this century. European added value, one of the main issues of the European budget. What is the real European added value of the largest part of our budget, the agricultural policy? What is the European added value of many of our structural funds projects? Not much. Of course, we have a lot of very good projects on infrastructure, on other things, but I see one structural problem in the way the system now is working, and that is that member states at this moment, they're just interested in getting as much money back from Brussels into their own territory as possible. They don't care about where the money is spent, they just care about getting the money back. If they would have financed these projects by themselves, a lot of these projects would never be undertaken. So you see a perverse effect in the European system where it's not the added value of a project that is the case, but it's getting the money back. And that is one of the reasons why I'm such a strong supporter of introducing real own resources. Giving the European Union its own income, its own money. That will have a very positive effect towards this sort of Pavlov reaction from member states to try to get as many money back as possible. But it's also these kind of radical changes that we sort of lack the courage, not only in this Parliament, especially at member states level, to come to that. Let me go into a few issues that you've been discussing as well here today about the agricultural policy. I see the agricultural policy, I see the agricultural sector as an economic sector as many others, but it is a special sector because it provides us with food, which is our main interest, and they have a very special task in taking care of landscape, biodiversity, etc., etc. But nevertheless, being in a special sector, in history and in all study books, no sector has become stronger by being dependent on subsidies, structurally being dependent. So our main objective should be to get rid of European agricultural subsidies in the end. And that's not something that we should do in one day, like they did in 1983 in New Zealand, but we can do it gradually. But I'm convinced that if we not take this general objective as something that we should try to reach, then we'll end up with the same agricultural policy that we have now. I have to conclude, yes. The same accounts for structural funds, cohesion policy, make innovation and sustainability a much stronger issue of it. Life Plus was mentioned. I'm hosting a huge conference here together with the European Commission in May, the end of May, about Life Plus. I always like what Commissioner Potočnik is saying about Life Plus. He says, we as DG Environment are a huge spender of money, European money, but we are a very small manager. Life Plus is the only fund that DG Environment is managing that's relatively small, but it's very important to have your own funds as well, where you can be very specific. One last issue, that is environmentally harmful subsidies. I heard people talking about member states trying to cut the budget. Well, this is a very, very easy way in cutting the budget, because we have incredibly amount of environmentally harmful subsidies. Take a huge part of the fisheries policy. We are paying fishermen to fish, and on the other hand, we are trying to avoid that they are emptying the seas. And we have many, many, many of these subsidies that have a negative effect, and we are trying to reverse it with other policies, so we're paying double. So that would be my conclusion, and I hope we as a Parliament will have the courage in the coming weeks to come up with a serious position on the next multi-financial perspective. Thank you.